Hi, I'm William. Today we're here to talk about East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I'm drinking water out of a water bottle because it's the middle of summer and it's really hot outside. This is a video about why you should read East of Eden by John Steinbeck, and I'm not going to be giving anything away that happens in the middle or towards the end of the novel. I want you to experience that for yourself. This video is probably best if you haven't read the book yet, but I bet you'll get a little something out of it if you have. John Steinbeck is a household name. I'm not really gonna go into his bio too deeply, but for the purposes of this video, what you need to know is that he's from California. That's where he spent most of his childhood, and he was a prolific writer throughout most of his life. There are a lot of novels that he left behind, and he tried his hand at other forms too. And this is arguably his masterpiece. He wrote it later in his career, and as you can probably tell by the length, it took him a long time to write the thing. It's a beautiful novel, and really what it is a retelling of the book of Genesis, the first book in the Bible, in an American setting. In East of Eden, you get everything about what makes John Steinbeck great. And I think that reading East of Eden first, if you've never read any of his stuff, is a fine place to start, especially because of the parallels that the story has with the book of Genesis, the first book in the Bible. It's kind of an origin story. It's about good and evil and the struggle between those two forces in all of us. But that said, if you haven't read anything by Steinbeck before, my personal recommendation for where you should start is with Of Mice and Men, because it's way shorter and you'll get a very clear sense of what John Steinbeck's prose writing style is like. Another book by Steinbeck that I really enjoyed is Travels with Charlie in Search of America, which is about him driving around the country with his dog in a van. It's an interesting meditation on where he thought America was at the time when he wrote it versus kind of how he viewed the country earlier in his life. And definitely if you want to go on a road trip, but you just don't foresee it happening anytime soon, I certainly enjoyed living vicariously through him by reading that book. But I digress. The things that I really admire about Steinbeck's writing in East of Eden, and really most of his novels, are his assuredness, his confidence, and his ability to distill bits of truth that you can't argue against into one definitive sentence. He's so good at doing this, and it lends East of Eden this real depth of wisdom. East of Eden is written in the first person, but you still get a very strong sense that ultimately it's Steinbeck who's narrating the story. I say that because weirdly this book is written first person omniscient, and so you're getting the full history of a lot of people in each of the two main families, but then you're also allowed, because it's in first person, to get very close in terms of narrative distance to the narrator themselves. This is a device that Steinbeck is using to basically make internal struggles more epic. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this book is all about good versus evil. Of all of the stories in the book of Genesis, which East of Eden is paralleling, the story of Cain and Abel is most central here. I want to be clear that this is a novel. It's not trying to convert anybody. And I do think it does a really good job of laying out moral dilemmas and of heightening the dramatic stakes of the story. The first chapter is absolutely beautiful, and it's in great detail describing the setting throughout seasons. All of the texture and the sensory inputs that you're getting in that first chapter are really mesmerizing. And then as the story carries forward, we're getting a lot of little vignettes, a lot of little short stories about characters in the families that we're gonna be caring about throughout the novel. The Grapes of Wrath gets assigned a lot more often in school, I think because there are some really easy ways to teach history by means of the Grapes of Wrath. I certainly didn't hear East of Eden mentioned as much growing up as I do now, just being on the internet. I would definitely rank East of Eden up there in the top 2 or 3 novels by Steinbeck that you should read before you die, right alongside Of Mice and Men. My name is William. I'm a writer. This is my YouTube channel. Hopefully you got something out of this video. And if you did, I'd really appreciate a like or subscribe if you haven't already. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.